Hello, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Everything look okay? Sound okay? Welcome. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Meredith. Hello, hello. We'll wait for a few people to get here. Hi, Michelle. How's it going? Hi, Christina. Nice to see you. Welcome. My name is Saremy, and I am hosting the Songbird Tank Top Sewalong for Sew Liberated. I'm usually on my own YouTube channel, which is Sew Live, but they asked me to do this sew along for them, which has been really fun. Hi, Blair. Hello, Mia. Hello. Welcome. Hi from California. Hi, Aisha. Nice to see some familiar faces. All right, so this is the Songbird set. So it comes with both patterns. This is the tank top or top and the tiered skirt. So let me roll her back a little bit. It's very long. It's got nice roomy pockets too. And it has a little loop here on the back strap that we're going to install today. And it helps make the strap really easy to fit. So the top has a built-in bra and a self-finish or knit finish binding around the armholes, which we're also going to do today. Hi, Marty. Hi, Kathleen. How's it going? Nice. You're not too far from me. All right, so hi, Felicia. How's it going? All right, so let's move Trixie over here. All right, so far we have assembled our tank top. We added our elastic to the center right here. We've assembled the bra. So we have the elastic bra in there, right? You guys caught up? Did you do your homework? Make sure my microphone's okay. I thought it flipped inside there. Hi, Tracy. Oh, that's awesome. Hi, Tracy. Thanks for coming. I helped Tracy in the Sew Liberated forum. You're doing so good. Your hinterland is looking really, really good. I'm so excited. Hi, Margaret. How's it going? Hi, Patricia. Welcome, welcome. Nice. Yeah. Okay, so if you're new to a live stream, and you can't see all these people chatting right now who I'm saying hello to, there's usually, and it's very subtle usually, a little thing that says hide chat or show chat, and that's what you want to click. And the other funny little thing about the chat is that when you have that chat window open at the very top, this goes for everybody, there's usually something that says top chat or live chat, and you really want to have live chat toggled on. I don't know why, but YouTube hides certain comments by people for no rhyme or reason. I've been doing this for 6 years and I still don't know why. So I always recommend having live chat on. Hi, Lean, how's it going? Nice to see you. So if you're also new to live streams, please feel free to ask questions in the chat. Ask why I do something, or if you need me to repeat an instruction, or if you want to challenge why we're doing it, please just say, you know, I've always thought we do it this way. Ask, because it's always a really good conversation to have, and there's lots of ways to get to the same result. So there's lots of correct ways to do things. And I'm all about trying to find the way that works for you. So not everybody has the same machines, not everybody's at the same skill level, and there's a lot of ways to get to that good result at the very end. So, all right, so let's get to ours. So I just have my bra inside here, wrong sides together. I'm sorry, I couldn't find a fabric that looked good on camera that had a very obvious right and wrong side. So this is wrong sides together inside my little tank top, and I just have it clipped. And we're sewing this completely on a regular home sewing machine today. You can tell probably that I usually use in this industrial, but it only does a straight stitch. So we need a zigzag at least for the stretch. All right, hi Charlene, how's it going? So if you remember right, I gave you some homework last week, right? So I told you to Flatten out all your bands and leave them sitting under a ruler. Keep them nice and flat because they love to get curly. So now we're ready to take our bands. So we're going to take the two shorter ones, which is our front and our neck. You can even see just lifting off that ruler, it wants to get a little curly. I did gentle starch on this, but I didn't do anything very heavy. So we're going to pick these guys up. Hi, Amy. Are you listening from the car? I love that. I mean, you know, it can be kind of podcast-like, right? All right, and we're starting from step 4 in the instructions. And I'm going to try and stay as true to the instructions, like in the same order as possible. That way this can serve you as a sew-along. All right, you guys ready? All right, we're going to grab one of our neck bands or back or front, doesn't matter, they're both the same. And I'm going to start on the back. It's kind of nice to start in those lower risk areas to kind of get your legs under you, right? So I'm going to start in the back. It's less of a focal point. You're in the car too, Aisha? All right, so I'm going to pin this to the neckline. And by neckline, I mean this little area between the strap area right here. And this with the side seam, that's your armhole. So it'd be really easy to accidentally put your neckband on between these two straps, but this is the side seam. So we want to focus on the neck area here. And we're going to hang this neckband off the end here like an inch. It doesn't have to be precise. You're just hanging it off a little bit because this way we can have something to grab onto. And you know, actually what I'm going to do, I can't remember, I tried both ways and I don't remember which way I liked better. There's kind of good and bad with either, but I'm going to start with my outside of my garment facing up. My binding is still right side to the inside of the garment. And the reason I'm going to do this is because it's a little easier to see where I'm sewing when I have the shirt on top. In other words, the way I just had it, I had the neckband on top. And when I have the neckband on top, it's a little harder to see the contour of the neckline. But like I said, there's pluses and minuses with each one. So maybe try each neckband a different way and then make some notes for your next one. See which way you like better. All right, so we're gonna, like I said, hang this off a little bit. That's a gift to our future selves. All right, so let's pull the machine here. And when I'm sewing this band on here and like throughout the Songbird top when I was sewing the seams, I'm using a zigzag stitch and I have the width set at 1.2 and the length at 2.2, and this is in the instructions. So it's a really gentle zigzag. It almost looks just like a kind of a wibbly wobbly straight stitch. It doesn't look like an obvious zigzag. All right, so we're going to start here. And we've been using a 3/8 inch seam allowance throughout, and now we're going to use a 1/2 inch. We want to fill that binding, that's binding up on the inside. I'm trying to get this to stay together. All right, so we're going to go just inside that little point there, right? It's okay if you're around there. I know it's a little fussy. See, so it feels like maybe having this on top was a way I like. I'll show you why, because we're going to gently stretch this neckband. So if you want to pin this all the way through, you can, but the problem with pinning it is that you need to stretch this a little bit, and sometimes it's a little easier to do this sort of organically while you're at the machine. And we're going to utilize the pressure of the presser foot to hold things down. Yes, oh, thank you, Meredith, for saying that. If you would like to baste your bra and your outer together first along the neckline, go for it. Just keep that within the 1/2 inch seam allowance, like maybe at a 1/4 inch, and you won't run the risk of it showing later on. All right, so we're gonna start off here. I haven't sewn anything. Probably should have gotten my machine a little bit more ready. Sorry about that. We talked about this before. Usually when I change my bobbin, I always do a little test sew when it's knits. So let's find a little piece of knit. I have a whole stack of knit right here. And we also talked about how sometimes when you're sewing knits, they get pushed into that little area, into your bobbin case area. And what I have found is if you have this issue, to start with some fabric, like start sewing some onto some fabric and then go onto your project. You know what I mean? All right, so now we're set. So we're just gonna start this like an inch down. Get in there, thank you. I still want this to be flat. It's kind of rumpled back there. We're gonna manage our layers here. We can even, you know, clip some of these. Since I'm not using a serger, I can use pins, right? Since I didn't baste mine. And I'm just gonna get sewing first before I start pulling and stretching the binding. All right, so now we're just gonna gently pull this. Now in the instructions it says something like you wanna stretch this binding piece so that it's about 75 to 85% length of the neckline, and that's between the points of the straps. So not the whole piece, but just that section. So we're just gonna gently stretch it. And when it gets off a little bit, we'll just make sure. So I'm pulling it, see this? And it's right side to the inside. I'm really not doing that very lined up, am I? All right. I don't have much table with this setup either, so it makes it a little funny. All right, so again, I'm pulling, and anytime you're stretching something when you're sewing knits, I really caution you to make sure that you don't pull after you've started sewing. So you can see I pull this, I hold it, and then I'm gonna sew. Anything that can pull on that needle is kind of risky. You don't want to accidentally bend it without knowing. So we pull, and then we hold. I'm not doing a very good job, sorry. Pull. Let me get this edge a little closer here. I'm gonna try it the other way and see if I like it on the other one. Pull. All right, and you can see we have extra on the end here. That's totally fine. Thanks, Meredith. Meredith is our mod today in the chat. We had Judith last time, and today we have Meredith. All right, so here we have our neckline, like that, right? And I'm gonna trim this down to a more even width since I got it a little bit further away right here. I don't really need to if that's a 1/2 inch, but we're gonna fold this to the right side and we're gonna turn it under. Oh, you know what I did forget? I forgot to iron these. Judith is saying, you forgot to iron these in half. We'll do that on the next one. I don't typically iron my binding, but it does help in this instance because you can get a nice even width and it's kind of a nice guide. All right, so we're gonna grade the seam allowances a little bit so that they're more even. This is the part where I would fast forward it for you. But this gives you a chance. I want you guys, if you're sewing along, to be able to be at a similar point as me, just in case you have a question. Because that's what's great about live streams, is that you have a live person to ask right then and there. All right, so do I think that's too wide right there? I kind of do, but I'm trying to decide if I am okay with that. I think that'll be okay. I can trim this a little bit more. Sorry if my dog's snoring is getting picked up by the microphone. All right, let's trim this thread here and here. And let's go iron it. Why not, right? I'm not a big ironer of knits because I find that often they just don't want to behave, you know. But let's just do it. I think it's always great to kind of take a little breather. I'm gonna fold it, and I'm just kind of testing it out right here, seeing if I'm gonna find any areas that are a little harder to make that whole width, like right here. You see that? And we can see my seam allowance just wasn't that great right here. So we're just gonna trim this down a little bit. I don't really like it when it rolls over on itself inside the binding. It'll create a little ridge. So let's just prevent it right now. Just a little trim. Probably would be easier to do on a rotary mat, huh? Hello, Martin, how's it going? I can kind of see chat from here. All right, so. Maybe I'll just fold it in half like this. My iron's pretty hot. This will be a little bit easier to manage. I think that the way that knits react to being ironed is very dependent upon which knit you're using. And see, this is what I find is it sometimes curls a little bit, but it still gives us a guide, which is kind of helpful. Chicago too. Welcome. It's pretty amazing. Everybody around the world sewing together. All right, so now we're going to switch our stitch length and width, and we're going to put this at 2.5 and 2.5, right? Yep, 2.5 and 2.5, width and length. And we're going to just start on this little extra. We are going to trim this extra off. So if you forgot to do it, it's fine. It's just kind of nice to have to grab onto when we're starting out. And it also kind of gives our machine something to sew onto before we get to this part that's more visible. And what I said last week was when you are going onto something like this, knits in particular are kind of fussy. Knit's kind of thick, even if a lightweight knit. Knits are a little bit thicker than a plain weave fabric or a woven, right? And when you are going onto the knit and you're just right at that edge, your presser foot isn't level anymore. It's like this. So the front of it is up and the back of it is down. And the back of it isn't really touching the feed dogs to kind of grab the fabric and pull it. So that's why you always want the fabric and the presser foot to be parallel to one another. Otherwise, what happens is it's falling off and it just cannot get onto the fabric. It's sort of stuck because the feed dogs aren't grabbing, it's not touching the fabric back there to kind of pull it and help you on there. And then what happens between the knit being a little bit thicker and a little bit just fussier in general, it pushes it down into your throat plate right down there. All right, so I'm just gonna sew a little bit, see what's happening here. I'm gonna lift my presser foot up, push it forward a little bit, go a little bit further. I'm just trying to get it to take so that we can have this, and I wanna approach this end here. And so I love to use an awl, and I use a tapered tailor's awl, so it's still really pointy, but there's something about it that's a little bit more blunt, and it will allow me to pick up fabric and hold it right where we want it. So I'm gonna put that fold just past the seam we just sewed. And remember, we're not stressed about binding here because we're on the right side. We're on the outside of the garment. Nobody's gonna see the inside. Everybody's gonna see what we're doing right here. So this is the most visible, and we're controlling every aspect of it. We are going to make it look the way we want. And if you're feeling a little bit like that top this top fold here is shifting and pushing towards you, you know, and you're starting to see it do this, right? You're getting that torquing, those diagonal lines. If you can reduce the pressure of your presser foot, that will help a lot. And if you see this, lift up your presser foot and let it relax and then keep going. Even if you can just do a few stitches at a time, it'll help a lot. Because what's happening is it's just a lot of pressure and it's pushing that fabric toward you, right? Thank you, Meredith. Yes, I love that you wrote that. It's a good visual, especially since subtitles might not be accurate sometimes. All right, so we're tucking that all in there. This is why we started on the back, right? We're getting our sewing legs under us because we have a lot of binding to do today, but we're almost done. And this finish is so nice. It's so soft and it's just really stable as well. This, oh yeah, it's a clover. Sorry, mine's very old. It's a little worn. Yeah, it's a tapered tailor's awl. I think everybody in my chat has one now. Hi Fiona, how's it going? I do a lot of binding. I used to have a business and I manufactured, I had a little factory and we manufactured bags for knitters and crocheters. And I did a lot of binding and I had to teach myself how to do that. I just really wanted that finish in my line and I found that the awl was really helpful. I was first started using my seam ripper and the seam ripper is a pretty dicey, awl. All right, so we'll just go a little bit off the end here. When I didn't talk to you about your needle selection today, but if you're sewing a knit, I recommend checking out jersey and stretch needles with your fabric. Typically, stretch needles are going to be more compatible with a fabric that has Lycra in it. And if you ballpoint is kind of in that realm too, but stretch in particular, I'll show you what they look like. So we have stretch and jersey, right? So I'm using stretch today because my fabric has Lycra in it. And jersey could have been a good choice, except I got some skip stitches, so that's why I switched to the stretch. Oh, that's nice of you. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I love that you put the exact one in there, Meredith. Thank you. All right, how's it looking? Looks pretty good. It's the right side, right? I got a little close on the end there. It looks worse on camera than it does in person, that little spot. All right, so now we're going to do our front, and we're going to follow the rules and the instructions, and we're going to pre-iron our binding this time. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half. And when I'm doing this wrong sides together, man, it's been sitting under my rulers for over a week and it still wants to curl. If you missed that tip last week, anytime you're sewing knits, I recommend that you either cut it right before you're going to start sewing, and if you can't, lay some pieces of paper and rulers on top just to keep it all nice and flat, because knit is got a mind of its own. All right, now we're going to fold it toward the fold we just created. You're going to be like, why didn't you tell me to do this before? I'm sorry. I planned to do this with my armhole pieces so that you didn't have to sit here and watch me do this. Okay, so now I've got all of my folds in here, and I'm actually going to fold it up and do one last press with it like this. I'm gonna just pin you down, tame you. Got to put a leash on it sometimes, you know? Move this over a little bit. We're running out of mat here. Okay. I feel like this is a little too far right here, so let's pull that back. No curls allowed. We love to wear knits, don't we? But man, they're so easy to wear. All right, quick, sew it in. Let's do it. Are we ready? Okay, so this time we'll start from the inside because we're gonna experiment, right? We're gonna see which way we like better. Oh good, I hope you like that all. If you do a lot of binding or any type of work where your fingers are close to the needle and you can't use pins or something or you had to remove them, the awl is just so great for that. All right, so we're on the inside, so this is the bra side, this is the front. Let's put a few more clips here. We'll stay a little bit more accurate this time. Yeah, exactly. A little steam wash, never notice it. I feel like washing really sets everything up, right? You know, like once you've sewn it, it looks so much better after the first wash. And I always like to say, like, you know, you're telling these pieces right now, like this is how you're gonna spend the rest of your life now. So this little binding piece, you know, we're kind of psyching it up. We're like, all right, this is what you're gonna do. So we're giving you all the tools to be a good little piece of binding, and you're gonna live like this forever and ever. And that, you know, they may fight you a little bit on it, but in the end, after that first washing, they're like, okay, this is okay, right? Hi, Terry, how's it going? All right, so we're gonna hang this off that inch here. So I can't see, that's why I think I always start on the other side. But we're gonna start, I'm gonna start with the binding side up this time. We're gonna put the stitch setting back to 1.2 width and 2.2 length. We can always adjust that little point afterward when we flip it over and we see what's happening. All right, so now we're gonna gently pull our binding, right? I find that I haven't been pulling mine enough and I need to pull a little bit more because I like the armholes to be nice and flush to the body. And if you don't pull this binding, it may sit a little bit relaxed around your armhole or your neck. Not your neck so much, but your armhole. All right, so it's nice having this little fold line as a guide, right? We're sewing that 1/2 inch seam. I'm feeling for wrinkles underneath because we don't really want those. Pulling a little bit, stretching, and then I sew. And then here we are at this point. Now, don't worry too much if you don't get this point perfectly because we're gonna define it in the step after we finish the binding on this. Oh, I can feel my binding or my elastic in there. That's what it is. But I'm going to put my needle down, right? Are you going to go down? And now I'm going to pivot, lift my presser foot up and pivot, and that's right at that V. So I'll try and encourage it what I can. All right, stretch and sew. Hello, Redmond, how's it going? All right, so we got these edges. I'm just pulling that under one to get the edges lined up. All right. Can I move these? Oh, we'll leave them there. Get rid of our pins. I don't sew with a lot of pins, so I never really have a good place to put them. Okay, let's see how we did. Looks good, right? All right, and if you're using like a knit that's really bulky, you can grade your seam allowances. I would just grade the seam allowances of the tank top and the bra, not the binding. And let's see how we're feeling about our seam this time. I think I did a lot better this time. I'm so glad I started on the back. All right, so now we have our binding and we still have our fold lines, right? And we're gonna fold this to the outside. And oh, let's change our stitch width and our stitch length. I just actually changed my needle. My needle position, no. 2.5 and 2.5. I think that's 2.5. I always go down to the 2, then I go up. All right. There we go. That looks good. How are we doing? Anyone sewing along? All right, so let's get this. I don't really like that little curl in my fold there, so I sort of flatten it out and get that in there. Get my awl, pick it up, and put that fold just past the seam we just sewed. We just need to cover it up, and we put that zigzag close to the edge to secure it there. Keep that flat. I don't sew a whole lot of knits, do I, Nancy? Not on my channel. Not because I don't wear them or like them. I don't know. Probably because I like using my my industrial. And again, we're going to define the V at the center front when we're all done with this step here. So we're going to pull this down and cover this up. They're so difficult. They are really fussy sometimes. I think that this is a really good fabric that illustrates that the tools make the difference. The right needle and just setting yourself up for success. Making sure you're not going to get that curly, curly stuff. I want to get rid of this little extra thread here, pulling things down. All right, and so this little edge will get cut off. It's okay if it's a little messy. All right, oops, thought I cut that. All right, look at that. Not bad. Okay, so now we're going to define this V, because right now we've softened it a little bit, and we know that we have, it's not a crisp V, but we do have a definition there. Right, Julie? Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so we're going to fold this in half, right sides together, all right? Right here at this center. So this is where you really do want to be a little bit more intentional. So, you know, I think sometimes what I do is I give myself a guide. So I'm going to put this pin here at the top and maybe even, I don't know about the bottom, this is overkill. I never usually do this. I'm a little bit more reckless. So we're going to put this fold right there. I'm not leaving the pins in, don't worry. And we're going to put our stitch to just a straight stitch. And we're going to sew across this little corner. Let me see if I can, here, I'll use my hero marker. Okay, so you see that little dent that I just created there, we're going to do something like that. I made mine kind of aggressive so you could see it. And when we do this, think of it this way. This line, even though mine doesn't do this, is going to continue the fold right here, right? So we want a nice straight line. So we're basically creating that V and the definition there just by putting a straight stitch here. Now, I want to give you one last tip for this. If you're one of those that has a lot of trouble with your machine not liking the different thicknesses, like right here we have, this is quite thick, right? It's pretty thick. And starting right here at the very end, that's going to put that presser foot at that steep angle. Our machine doesn't like that, right? So what I like to do when I'm in this situation, I do this at the bottom of hems on shirts as well, like around a vent opening or at the center front. I will start like 1/2 inch in and then I back up to the end. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to start like right here, right? So my whole presser foot is level right now. And I'm going to put my needle down too. I'm actually going to increase my stitch length a little bit. My machine isn't, it's an okay fan of knits. So we're going to go forward and then we're going to reverse all the way to the back there. And now go forward again. And there's something about doing that where I back up to that edge and then go forward. It prevents it getting sucked down as badly. And then we'll just go to the bottom of our binding. And there we go. So we just did a little straight stitch. I'm going to cut all these threads. Oh, I got my tail of my thread kind of in there. We'll just try and pull it out a little bit gently. I'll just pull out, I'll just do that and I'll work on that later. And let's see how we did. So we have, oh, I have a little tuck there, but maybe I can kind of finesse that a little bit. Oh, mine's a little crooked. Let's see, maybe if I did, I think I could have pulled it a little bit like this. Let's see. I'll get deep into an experiment mode, so we got to make sure I don't do that. if you know me. So that is basically what we're going to do. I'm not going to fuss with this too much, but that is basically the definition of your V right there. Mine's a little cockeyed. So I'll take that out later and fix that. And I think what happened is that I could have this side kind of pulled this way a little bit, like it's over-rotated that way. All right. No biggie though. There's always stuff I need to do at the very end of a garment when it's all said and done to kind of smooth out the rough edges, right? It doesn't always come out the oven perfect. Yeah, exactly, Meredith, exactly. I've done, my black one was perfect the first time, and my pink red stripe one, it was okay, and then my green one was a little bit funky. This one is a little bit funky too. All right, so now we're going to put on our arm binding. Yeah, that's a great idea. You could hand baste it. And also just even basting it with your machine, a few stitches, just something to kind of give you an idea of what you're going to get as your result. All right, so we're going to cut off our strap, and you can see where our strap ended in there. So this is our excess. And if you have any little bit here, we need to just trim that down so that we have a 1/2 inch width up here at the top. And we're going to do this all the way around here to all 4 of our straps. So we're going to clip and we're going to trim here. Yeah, it's a super thick spot. Oh yeah, Karen, all the time. I think this is why I love live streaming. I know that it's kind of an unconventional form, and I definitely get people a little bit salty if it's not a concise edited video. But I really believe in showing the process that happens to everybody. I've worked in lots of factories too, and I know things happen all the time. And so it's really nice to be able to ask the person a question or challenge them and start a conversation about it. I'm just trimming this down a little bit to be a little bit more flush right here. Now, Julie's always busting me up there. She keeps me on my toes. All right, where's my top edge here? There it is right there. I love it. I genuinely love it because the one thing about sewing for me, and I've been sewing a really long time. I know I said I was going to tell a little bit about me, but I just decided not to. But I did go to design school as a designer and a pattern drafter, and I went to the pattern drafting route mostly. And I worked in the garment industry in LA, in California, for a really long time. And then I worked in the outerwear industry doing really technical garments for like sea kayaking or motocross, things like that, things with 80 pattern pieces and really technical fabrics. And I had a really great career being able to work in factories, which are just really few and far between now, and I love it, you know? So it's definitely never something I'm not learning something about. And that's what I can't believe about sewing, is that I've been doing this for 35 years, because I did this right out of high school. And I still am learning things all the time, like every day, all week long, and I love that. It's infinite, and it's just one of the coolest things, because it's not just a hobby, it's a skill. And when you think about what a skill is, that's pretty valuable, right? So, yeah, exactly, yeah. You never know what's gonna pop up. Sometimes I get a little bit bummed out when my project goes perfectly on camera. And I know my chat does too, because they really love sewing drama. Okay, here we go. So here we have our trimmed straps there, right? And we've made sure that we don't have that little corner sticking out. They're a 1/2 inch. Should see our front. It's really bugging me that my V right there is wonky. I really want to fix it like right now. Okay, so now we're going to iron our armhole straps. All we have left are the armhole straps and the hems. So we're going to do the exact same thing with the armhole straps that we just did on the neck. So you got this, right? So let's go and iron those. Right, yeah, exactly. You guys have also seen me not accomplish things, you know. I've definitely had streams where I'm like, wow, well, everything's going wrong. I don't like it. They love it. Okay, so sorry I didn't pre-fold these. I knew there was something I was going to do. And then so I started like making sure everything was set up, and I was like, no, everything's set up. This was it. So we're going to just fold these in half, wrong sides together, and then fold them down the middle. This is actually how I make webbing when I make a webbing strap in fabric and not pre-purchased webbing. This is the exact same steps, except that then I sew it together in that fully folded state. I love it. I got that tip from Noodlehead doing her patterns. Okay. Get that all lined up. You got to let it know who's boss. Don't, like, that underside wants to curl on me, and I'm onto it. I know that's what it's trying to do. We don't let it tell us that. Can I do both sides at once? Is that too ambitious? I almost thought about putting this through a binding folder, because I have several. As much as I love binding, I also love playing with the attachments too. One of the machines I had in my factory was a machine like my industrial, but set up with a binding attachment, because we did so much binding. And when I sold that machine, I sold it with the attachment, even though it's basically just a straight stitch machine, because it was an installed binder, which is much nicer. I still miss that machine. And I'll be honest with you, I have the ones for my serger as well, or my cover stitch, I mean, I'm sorry. And I still will just do it by hand often. I enjoy it. It sometimes just takes me as long to use the attachment as it does just to do it by hand. And by hand, I mean still with my machine. Okay, you got to manage chat. I can't see it, Meredith. I know there's some talking in there. If there's a question I need to answer when I'm facing chat again, let me know and I'll look at it if it goes off the screen. Has anyone made the Songbird skirt yet if you're making the tank top? I have been thinking about Meredith's, her patchwork one. I was thinking like, oh, you know, what if I use all my linen for scraps? And now I'm wondering if I had gotten that idea from Meredith and her mom, because it's cute. And I have a lot of linen scraps. I think that skirt's perfect for it. But then you know, Sew Liberated came out with the one with the inset lace, and now I want that. So, you know, thanks for keeping me, you know, my sewing queue full. Okay, you just really don't want to fold there, do you? Look at it trying to fold in a tube. When you do this, I think some fabrics will handle this better if you cut it on the length grain, but not all knits can do that, because not all knits have stretch going down the length grain and the cross grain. So it's something to think about. Okay. Did we really do both sides at the same time on the other piece? Why is this one so much squirrelier? At least you can see that crease. I think that crease is really helpful visually, especially for the seam allowance. You're already managing so much, doing a little bit of stretching while you're sewing it on. Flatten out, buddy. Come on. %85% of sewing is just, you know, fabric handling. Oh, look at it curl. Okay, we won't do both sides, fine. It's so bad. Oh, man. Do you guys know that there's lots of ways to starch fabric, too? Like, you probably have the ingredients to make your own starch at home. There is one woman I know that uses vodka in a spray bottle. You know, it's not straight vodka. You can't use it, you know, any other way. It's mixed with water. I don't know the thing. And that works really good, but you can also use things like cornstarch, you know, and dipping your fabric into it, or gelatin. It's pretty neat. All right, we're gonna skip that other one and just do these, four. And we won't do the one where we fold it and then press it one more time. Oh yeah, oh good, good, good. I'm glad you put that tutorial there. Okay, wait, I'm scrolling back. Oh, that's what I was wondering too, as well, Pam, like using the bias tape maker. The likelihood of you having that gigantic of a bias tape maker, you know, because mostly we get them for a little bit narrower, but you could, and you might try it. Some knits probably won't behave though. And then, you know what else, Meredith, we should link is that Sew Liberated just came out with a tutorial on making this into a swim suit top. Double-sided tape, like the sewing kind, maybe. I think it starts with the lace in the skirt. I want to do that. Oh, Blair, that's a good, oh, good, thank you, Meredith, you said that, okay. That's 2 questions in a row about the lace, that's great. Okay. All right, I'm trying to think of something. Okay, so let's put the armhole binding here. All right, so now here's our front. And here is our back, right? Here's our side seam. All right. Let's do that. Okay. And we're going to sew this kind of the same way, but we're going to leave the majority of the strap on the front side. So we're going to hang off on the back here like an inch minimum. You want at least an inch back here because this is going to serve as the loop that goes around your ring. I'm stressing out because I feel like have I been calling Meg Madeline? No, I haven't. I haven't called, okay, yeah. Oh, that's, okay, I got it. I was just really worried. I just called her Madeline for some reason, and that was stressing me out. I'm terrible with names, but I know who Meg is. Okay, good. That's why I kept looking. I was like, wait. I know a Madeline who goes by Meg. A Meg that goes by Madeline, that's what it is. All right. Anyway, here we go. We're going to put this right side to the inside of your garment. So right side to wrong side, but you know, it is the right side of your bra, right? So we're on the inside. We have our strap face down, and we're going to hang off at least an inch because you need it to fold over and become the loop that goes through the circle that I just showed you, right? Would it work to admit the ring? Yes, if you want to seam your strap together, yeah, you could do that. Oh, thanks for putting the link there. All right, so we're going to sew this at a 1/2 inch seam. And now this time, you know, you might find sewing this from the right side a little easier. And I say that because we want to get this little corner into the binding, right? So you can see my fold here, right? We need that corner to get enclosed and secure. We don't want it poking out of our finished binding, right? So you might want your binding on the bottom layer and your top on the top layer. I don't know if I really noticed one way I like better or not, you know? Okay, so let's try that. So now I have my shirt, my tank top. This is the outside, right side up. I have my binding on the inside, right sides together. And I'm still not doing this quite right here. Yeah, here we go. I have it. I have this right. No, I don't have it right. I knew there was something wrong. Here we go. Oh, goodness. I'm going to stop looking at chat. All right, so here's my front right here. Nope, this is my back. So the back is the one that gets the shorter piece. And this is why, this is it. This is why I'm getting confused. So you have to have the back with the shorter end. So it's not like on the neckband on the front. We could start at either end, and as long as we had a little bit hanging off, we had something to hang on to. This time, though, you really do need the shorter part hanging off of the back because you need that strap all hanging off of the front to give you the most adjustability when we're trying to figure out your strap lengths. All right, so just kind of maybe trying a few different ways to hold this so that you can kind of get, you know, the feel of it. So now here I have the back here. Here's my strap, and then I hang it off the end here. I think I'll try that, and then most of my strap will hang off of the front. And there's a lot of extra strap, all right? Has anyone tried Terrio Magic? Oh, I know people love that stuff. I haven't tried it. All right, so we are at the zigzag with the 1.2 width and the 1.2 and 2.2 length. Okay. All right, here we go. And again, if you have trouble getting it onto the hump of the tank, just lift the presser foot up and get it started gently. I'm going to pull it really gently. There we go. All right, now we're on. And I'm going to gently pull my binding while I line up my armhole edge to there. And we're going to sew this at a 1/2 inch seam. I don't really like that. There we go. I like that better. Okay, I'm going to get going a little bit more there. Pull binding. Pull on the binding, relax the shirt. Make sure I don't have any tucks in there because we are, you know, there's 2 layers there. You don't really want one of them to misbehave. But this is that's the inside of the garment, so that's the good news, right? Didn't want that bra to get kind of caught on there. All right, we'll pull the binding, line up our edges. And my side seams are pressed open right here, but if you serged yours, you can offset them from one another to decrease the bulk. Otherwise, I would press them toward the back. But often I offset my underarms. So pull. I don't stress too much on these edges being uneven a little bit because I don't really want to force them to line up, because I wouldn't want to create some sort of torquing on the inside. The bra's going to do what the bra's going to do, right? And there's so many areas of sewing where there's for error. There's the cutting, there's the sewing, you know, so just be kind to yourself. All right, so I'm just pulling and getting to the end here. And remember, I want this little point to land inside the seam line, like that. And I'm going to trim this little corner down a little bit. So here we have 1 whole armhole. We have our extra hanging off at the back and our really long strap hanging off of the front. And now we're just going to look it over. Do we need to grade these seams here? Maybe a little bit. I always test it with my binding. Go, okay, can I make this flat without any ridges inside? If I can't, I'm trimming a little bit. So I'm going to trim this just so it's a little bit more of a consistent width. Same here. I have my blade between the binding and the shirt here. I'm usually very, very specific about how I trim things like this so that I don't trim anything else. But with the knit, because it's going to stay like up above this seam edge here, and I'm not worried about the shirt going like this, you know, pulling. The binding is behaving really well for something like that. All right, in this corner here, let's get rid of this thread so we don't immortalize it. And let's trim this corner down as well. And you can see I didn't quite get my seam on the left side of this corner here. So I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to approach it from the shirt to the binding end. So I'm going to be able to control this width a little better. See, so I can go right toward it, and I don't have to worry about that uneven thickness thing. So there we go. That's a lot better. We don't want that little corner causing us trouble later on. All right, do you want to do the next step on this armhole, or do you want to put the other armhole on and do them all at once? We could do the other armhole, that way, you know, we don't forget to change our stitch length maybe. Or maybe we'll do this one so that it's a second like tutorial about it, right? All right, so this is our front here. So we want our back to hang off on this side. Something like that. And I'll have to do it from this side now. Yeah, thanks for explaining that, Meredith. I'm not sure I did that very adequately. You can just omit the ring. And I think if you did do that, what I would do is put the seam of your strap at your underarm lining up to your side seam. So you could, you just have to figure out your strap length, and that's no easy feat sometimes, right? Okay, so this time I have the strap up. This is the inside of my garment, the strap right side to the inside of the garment. And we may have to come back and fuss with the seam allowance right here to make sure we got that corner in there. That's okay. Let's see if we can get on here. I'm not even going to do the back stitch just so I don't fall off the end, and we'll go back and fix that later. All right, so now we're on, and we're going to stretch our binding. Oh, so much easier. It really is a little easier from this side, I think. I'm just kind of smoothing it out, getting this curl to behave. That's why I'm fussing with it so much. And then I pull, holding that curl down. Yeah, this is a lot easier. When you have to stretch something, I think having the thing you have to stretch on top is a lot easier. So pull. Oh, and by the way, there will be timestamps in the description of the video. And to find those, you tap the title of the video and you will find them. And then that way you can refer to the step you're looking for without having to, fast forward through the video. You can also up the speed of the video replay if I'm chatting too much or you just want to get going. All right, stretch. And again, we want that corner to get enclosed. I got to back stitch this on that one, so let's look and see if I got that corner. Oh, I really got that corner in there. Probably a little too much. Let's see what this other side looks like, and we'll put the back stitch in. Don't you hate it when you immortalize these tails? I don't have to worry about this on my industrial, so I forget to hold the tails when I start sewing like this. If you hold your tail, it won't do that. Get in there. There we go. So I'm just making sure that corner is enclosed in the seam. And putting a back stitch there. We are going to bind it completely though, so the back stitch wasn't crucial. All right, let's get rid of some of these threads here. All right, so now we're ready for our next step, except we're going to check this. Is this the one I just sewed? I think this is the one. Oh yeah, this is the one I just sewed, so I'm going to trim down this corner here. And let's check this one over here. Let's check our seam allowances here. How'd we do? We could probably trim a little bit. So we're going to trim the tank, not the binding. If my binding was too wide, I would trim it too, but if I didn't do a good job at my seam allowance, which happens, I think you're going to experience different things for different fabric. thicknesses. Like if you're doing something like a really wishy bamboo or a rayon knit, you're gonna find that that's pretty easy to stretch to the width that you want for the seam allowance. Granted, you know, you can only do that so much. But if you're doing something like a little thicker, you're gonna probably find that you need to trim it down. All right, so now we're gonna make our strap. Let's start on the other one, get our legs under us. I'm gonna get rid of some of this mess here. I'm gonna start on this one because this has just this little short end here, and it's not as much to sew. So we're gonna complete the strap. Get rid of this little tail here. And we're gonna start sewing. Now this is the end that will go through the loop. So now we want our stitch setting to be 2.5 and 2.5 for width and length. I'm gonna grab my thread tails here as something to hold on to. There we go, and get it going. There we go. All right, now we're set. And now we can arrange. We got our awl, and I can really control how this looks by picking that up and covering my seam. You got to use knits to their advantage. They're squirrely, but we can use the squirreliness to our own advantage. All right, so there we go. Got that enclosed. All the way over here. There's my fold line, but it's okay. That's okay. We're gonna go by what we need in this moment rather than what we ironed. My ideal goal is my binding looks an even width all the way around the armhole, right? We may not, you know, and that's okay. It's homemade. We're human. And you're probably not going to be looking under your arm very much, maybe. So this is a little thicker here because we have our seam allowances, so it's going to be a little peskier. Because we stretched it on too, it kind of wants to behave a little bit, which is great. All right, so now we're approaching the part where it's gonna be just strap. Like, that's it. There's no bodice in between. And I find that this can be a little bit like, okay, wow, this feels like I can't make any mistakes. So we're gonna approach it and then get ourselves set up for it. Because it's not that hard, it's just more that, you know, like see this corner here? If this corner is, and for you it could be because it was for me on a couple of my songbirds, if this corner is really close, like it's hanging out past this fold edge, just try and tuck it in, like use an awl, or if you only have a seam ripper, just be really careful, poke it in there, just really forcefully poke it in there. You're the boss, right? So you can control all of that. And what I would do is I will slip my awl in here, right? And I'm pulling this right here, this section, this way. So I'll pull it out. See how I pulled out a little fabric there? If my corner was sticking out, that's what I would do. I would contrive a better situation to get rid of that corner sticking out. And that way, if I can pretend like I sewed that seam by just pulling out a little extra fabric there, right? Now it's in the seam. And then pulling this over there, no one will ever know, right? And it'll be fine. It's not going to have any adverse effects. So our corner is in there. We don't have to worry too much about that. All right, so now we're just on strap. And make sure my shirt doesn't fall off the table because it'll pull on the needle and pull on the work. And we're going to get this nice and flat. And I'm kind of sweeping my fingers in here. making sure there's no curled edges so I don't get a ridge along this fold here. And also so that I'm preventing any torquing from happening, because that will happen. And if you see it happening, like I said, if you don't have an awl to kind of push your fabric in there, you know, put your needle down. I can push on my presser or my foot pedal, but it's kind of hard. And then lift your presser foot up, let it relax a little bit, put it down, and then keep going. And this is it. This is all you have to do for this strap. So I'm going to fold the end here like this, and then pull it straight out and arrange it with my fingertips here. Oh, you guys didn't tell me the machine's kind of pushed up there. Is that a little better? You can always shout at me. I'm here to serve. All right, and our next step will be to find the length of our strap and put the ring on and hems. We're almost done. I'm not going to worry about a back stitch because we're going to end up trimming this end off anyway. All right, look at that. Looks good. See, I have a little tuck right here. Let's see if we can just kind of finesse it in there a little bit. There we go. Everything's covered. All right, let's do our other one, and then we can finish our strap. So now this time, we're gonna start at the really long end. How supportive the straps end up being since they're fully knit for us not tiny people. I feel like it's pretty supportive, but you can adjust the length of it and pull them up. It puts the ring just a little higher. Oh yeah, that's good. The swim post has some details on that. I've also done it where I will put like the cotton lycra as the bra, but the outer garment is like a more flowy knit, just because the cotton lycra I feel like has more support. I wouldn't do aerobics in this because I'm not a tiny person, you know, but at the same time, I feel pretty good about it. I have walked around town many times wearing my Songbird. Okay, so this when you are going to arrange this strap, you have to look at the whole strap right now. So here is this one down here, right? This is where we're going to go on to. So you need to make sure that you don't twist it. Otherwise, you're going to be doing some, you know, furious arranging when you approach the garment. So just don't get that off. All right, so let's get this folded. And we'll get this on here. I'm going to start with it like a 1/2 inch on, so they don't have that presser foot issue. Oh yeah, serger tweezers would actually make a good awl. Yeah, good point. That's great. I like the elastic idea. Oh, I want to hold like a whole long section, but it's you just got to do a little bit. I have to do a little bit. You might be able to do more. I've interfaced knit before with like tricot interfacing to keep it stretchy. I don't recommend it really because it did compromise the stretch. And at the time for the garment, it wasn't a big deal, but for something like this strap, I would do it as an experiment. All right, we didn't trim this corner down. I thought we did. We could trim it a little more. You don't need the straps to be really, really stretchy. You just don't really want them to get stretched out, you know? And that will give them the feeling that they kind of are. All right, I'm gonna trim this thread really low. Okay, let me get my garment up here on the table. And so again, like if you have this corner kind of sticking out like this, right? Say it's sticking out like that. You can reach in here and push the binding past it to sort of create it being on the inside of the binding a little easier. Just force it in there. You're the boss, right? I'm really poking it in there. And then we're going to go onto the tank. We might have to help it a little, so anticipate that. It'll be a little easier. If you find these are really, really thick, I know this sounds crazy, but if you hammer the thickness with an actual hammer, it will help the thickness. People in my chat taught me that, and I just was skeptical. It 100% works so good. I'm going to go a little slow here since we're going on to the thickness. There we go. It could be socially acceptable. If you accept it, that's fine with me. You don't need to stretch the strap as you sew. Nope, we already did that. All right, we're officially on to the garment now. Home stretch. Fabrics that don't curl would be something like a like an interlock. Interlocks don't curl like this. If you're just like, well, the one thing I've learned from this is I'm not picking the fabric that curls. The problem, not problem, but the difference with using an interlock knit is you're going to get something a lot more soft and kind of stretchy and boingy. You know, it's going to be drapier. It's not as firm as a fit, as like a cotton lycra would be. Yeah, this is definitely not a gym bra. This is a streetwear, go to the farmer's market. I'm someone that always wears a bra, right? But with this one, I don't. I really like how soft it is, but I still feel supported. All right, so here we are, last little inch or 2 or 3. Cool. I don't know where this came from. Let's get rid of you. All right. So now let's look at what we got going here. Yeah, interlock can be a little thick, exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, I think you can do, I've done that for sure, Mythic. That'll work. Some interlocks are going to be heavier, like Meredith's right. Some of the interlocks are kind of heavy, but some of them are kind of thin as well. So, all right, there we go. The cockeyed little center thing is definitely still bugging me, but looking good. Got our straps here, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to install the rings. And we just kind of want to make sure we're getting these symmetrical. That's our goal right now. So we're going to put them on the back. And if you want to turn it under, you can. Remember, knit doesn't fray, so you don't have to do that, and it is quite thick, and you know, our whole uneven thicknesses thing can work against you, right? So what I recommend doing is not turning it under, and you could always zigzag it if you want, you know. So I'm gonna put this, it's about a ½ inch above where the strap goes onto the body from there. Yeah, the rib knit had its own challenges, didn't it, Meredith? All right, so I'm gonna get close, but not too close. And we're gonna switch. I'm gonna start from the middle. Remember my tip about starting in the middle and then back stitching to the end? That's what I'm gonna do again. And I'm gonna put my needle down. We're gonna sew a little bit. I'm also gonna change my stitch length a little bit, just make it a little longer. And now go back all the way to the end. Really secure. We're gonna pull on it kind of hard. All right. Where's that end? There it is. This thread color matches so good. And then we can trim this off. And if you want to go back and zigzag over that, you can. That's on the inside of the garment though. So let's do our other one. And I'm going for symmetrical. Give me this little ring. Okay, let me check my symmetry by comparing it to the armhole. We'll go the other way. There we go, it'll be easier. I love the way these straps finish. They're so like thick, even thickness. Oh, really good. I love stuff like that. All right, so we're going to do something like that. Get rid of these threads. Sometimes, Karen, you just get really desperate, you know, and you try everything, right? I'm sure you've figured out other things. All right, start in the middle and then back up to it. And I do that not on knits too. I do it, like I said, on like hems for things that are uneven. And there's just something about like when I roll hem, say a button-up shirt, that thickness of the rolled hem, you know, starting on that and going onto the garment like more fully, I'll have trouble with it. So I always back up to it. Okay, now for the fun part. So let's put this on the dress form. And we will adjust the straps. The hardest part of sewing today is going to be putting the tank top on the dress form. I'm just going to warn you. And you can see there's the bra under there. I find putting anything on the dress form is always harder because she doesn't cooperate, you know? She's not like moving her shoulders or anything. Has anyone ever been a model dresser before? When I was in design school, that would be like an odd job that the school would give us. Like, oh, we have this gig this weekend if you want to be a model dresser. It's a terrible job. I hated it. All right. It's looking cute. Very cute. Here, let's arrange it a little better. Especially once we get the straps adjusted on there, giving it more support, pulling it up, right? All right, so. Oh my God, oh Meredith, that, yes. It's so, mannequins are hard. The models are just really not very nice because they're in a hurry. You know, it'll be like between points where they go out onto the runway, and it's just a furious dash to get them dressed backstage. All right, so now here we are at the back. Here, let me show you this side. It looks a little nicer because of the shoulder pads. So we're going to put our strap in the loop here, right? And when I do this, I put the strap in going this direction, but I'm going to warn you, we're going to sew it with it going into the ring this way, right? And I'm only doing it this way because when you go to try it on, it's a little easier to manage it this way. And so then what I do is I usually will pin the strap like this. Like I do this off the body, right? So I've put the strap through the ring off the body, and then I pin it like this, and then when I get it, put it on me, then I have these little straps in front right here to grab onto, and I can pull until it's the length that I want, right? So the gathering center gives the shape. It does the bra up here like a mono boob. The bra does not have the shaping in there. But it does give you a little definition right here visually. So yeah, so you're going to pull like this and just find that kind of even balance. Your straps may be different lengths, and they could be different lengths when you sewed them, and they could be different lengths because you're different sized. So I would pick the length that you like. And if you've made one of these before and it was in a completely different fabric, I wouldn't take the strap length from that one and apply it to your new one. I would try it on. Just do it. You'll be happier because you're not going to want to have to take this out and do it again, right? All right, so now we've got our strap length, and now we're going to go sew it. So I do know my length, so I'm going to compare it to one. Here it is, okay. All right, so we can get rid of these things here. And I have this one here to compare. But we're going to basically do the exact same sewing we just did on the back here, right? So we have this, the opposite. We want to go this way. And I'm going to compare my strap here. It's the same exact fabric. Let's see, here is my front. Here is my, so this one here, I did a really lightweight bra on the inside of, but then the jersey, the cotton spandex jersey on the outside. Every type of fabric works differently, absolutely. I'll probably only do one of the straps now so I can make sure it's the right one off camera. Something like this. And we're going to, if you want to turn it under, you can. I'm not going to. I feel like it sits flatter if I just leave it raw like this, but you can, like I said, zigzag over it if you like. All right, so I'm gonna pin this so I know how much I folded it up. And we're gonna do the other one the same. But I would figure out your straps individually on each side of you. I'm just making mine symmetrical for brevity's sake. Let's see here, I want to go this. Isn't it frustrating watching someone else do something like this on camera? Okay. There we go. Make sure you cut the right one. All right, let's sew this, and then we're gonna hem and we're done. You know, one thing I meant to tell you was a good place to put your label in, and that would have, for me, been when you did the binding. You could attach the side seam or maybe hanging down from the bra, though, if you didn't do it. All right, so I always see how, I know this looks like I gave myself a lot. One of the things that I'm thinking about is that width of the presser foot to your ring here, right? So if I have the presser foot, and say this is a thinner fabric, and my presser foot can't sit on this ring and sew, you might have trouble getting near the ring and sewing next to it. So I give myself enough space just in case it's going to be a problem. So you see how my presser foot is clearing the width of this ring, so I know that I'm okay. I don't have to sew the strap that long. I'm just wanted to give myself some space, and I'm going to start in the middle also. Oh, and then we're going to do a straight stitch. I'm still in my straight stitch. We're good there. Go forward a little bit and then go backward. I think on this green one here, I think I did a, didn't I? Yeah, so I did do a zigzag across it. That one doesn't look that great. And this one I left raw. Yeah, you're welcome, Pam. Thanks for coming. All right, I've got Can you tell I'm used to my machine snipping my threads? I've had this home machine for a while and I love it. I'm definitely not as slick with sewing on it, am I? All right, start in the middle. I always have to remind myself to. That sounded kind of crunchy. Yeah, we're gonna pull that out. Oh, it's okay though. I think we just got a thread tail in there. You hear the crunchiness, you stop immediately. I'm always lecturing people, like, I know a lot of people who don't change their needles very often, and as someone who used to have to pay a mechanic to come visit my shop where all my industrial machines were, I can't stress enough that you should change your needle. Because the one big thing with machines is that, you know, your needle can get a little like burr on it, or it can get slightly bent and you can't see it and you can't feel it. And what happens is your needle, every time it goes down there, it's just maybe grazing something underneath there. And you know, when the fabric pushes it, like bullies the needle a little bit, the needle will go down there in a different position, right? So there's a lot of moving parts there. And if the needle starts bonking things down there that it shouldn't, it'll throw off the timing, and the timing is what you don't want to have to fix. So just trust me on that one. Okay, this looks really cute. I love this color. I don't have enough things that are this color, but that looks good. The straps look really clean, really smooth. You can tell, like, I'm not prioritizing zigzagging the edges because I really like the garment to feel really soft on me, but if that bugs you, you can. And you know, I was going to kind of walk you through a way to serge the ends, but you know, leave your tail and tuck it in. But because serging the ends is really tricky on these little things, but we'll save that for another day. All right, we're going to do our hem now, and we're going to iron it up first. We have a 3/4 inch hem allowance. Let's just take a second to look at this little top too. It's looking really cute. Except for the wonky V. Let me straighten out the, there we go. Very cute. Okay. So I put my shirt right side out because it's a little easier to iron that way for me. But this is one curly edge. And you know that if you cover stitch, that's going to be a whole heap of fun at the cover stitch machine. It's a little more than 3/4. The wool mat kind of holds the heat though, so I can kind of position it. That's my dog snoring, I promise. All right. This is one thing I have started doing. If you ever watch me sew other things, I don't I've gotten better. I don't usually iron my hems. I do on knits now because I just find it easier to not have to fiddle with the knit because the knit kind of has more of a mind of its own than, say, linen. And I don't hem all my knits with a cover stitch. Just sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends. If that was the only thing I was cover stitching on the garment, it's kind of 50-50 if I'm actually going to use it, because it does mean setting it up with those thread spools, and I may have all the thread spools occupied on the serger and the regular machine. All right, here we go. Last stitch, you guys. Oh, that's great. Thanks for sharing that, Meredith. Is that one of those heating rulers you can iron on? That's great. You find me relaxing to watch. I'm glad. All right, so for the hem, we're going to put this back on zigzag, and we're going to put this at 3 and 3, right? Yes, 3 and 3. I have a little cheat sheet. Oh, it's heat and bond for knits. Oh, there you go. You know, someone was just telling us about Sew Keezy, so maybe that's another thing. All right, so I don't have a free arm set up on this machine. This would be my free arm, which means it's like the narrow, you know, little bed, so I could wrap the garment around it. Great for like really small things too. I have a flat table. That's kind of what I'm used to sewing. So when I do that, I put the garment so that the whole garment is like this, right? So I'm going to sew with the garment right side out, but from the inside still. And this is so that I don't accidentally catch the garment underneath, rather than going like this, or like if this was, let's say we were sewing it like this with the whole garment underneath me. That's a little riskier. So I always try and give you those tips for things like that, especially really small circular openings like cuffs and leg hems, things like that, because it can be really tricky sometimes to be able to get in there. So just put the garment right side out and sew from the inside. All right, and we're going to start, I want to start at a side seam. Yes, this is a side seam, so I make sure it wasn't the center seam. I want to get my presser foot a little bit on this edge, this raw edge. And I can already tell it wants to slide this edge here, so I get my trusty awl out and I hold it. I'm like, nope. We're just going to say no to that kind of torquing. We're the boss here. If you find that you just can't get rid of that torquing, remember, needle down, lift the presser foot up, let it relax a little bit, and just kind of nudge it under there a little bit. Just tell it, no, 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 no. You guys are staying one on top of the other, no sliding allowed. I've got my hems, or my seams pressed open, but if you did your seam finishes together, like with a zigzag or a serger, I would press them to the back or offset them, so you could press it one way when the hem rolls up and then how do I describe that? You can offset it with the hem as well, and I kind of just twist it inside the hem. Sometimes I even clip it along the hem fold so that it can offset to get rid of that thickness. I'm not paying attention. I gotta pay attention. Oh, that's another one, huh, Nancy? I'm holding it now, so. All right, so now I stop kind of an inch before and I trim my threads. Since this machine leaves as long of a tail as I like, it can be kind of too long and I don't want to immortalize those threads or I have to pick them out later. So I trim them and now I finish sewing. There we go. Now I do my back stitch and we're going to trim and trim. I love zigzag. I think it's really charming. And things like this, these little pieces that stick up right here, I trim those. You know, if you're ever done cover stitch, you know that this little edge is kind of a problem sometimes. If you want to get rid of it, you can, but if it's not that much, I just leave it. But when I see these, that's just me. I like to trim it, make it look a little nicer. Let's see, we have one more here, yeah. I meant to tell you that if your side seams are uneven or you find any uneven seams along that hem, I would even those up before you iron and hem it. Just make it easier on yourself. All right, are we done? I think we're done. Let's put it on the dress form one last time. Doesn't really go with the Songbird skirt that I made though, does it? I don't know, I might wear it together. It's this elastic band. You really gotta pull it on there. This is a Beatrice form, so it is soft, but it doesn't have collapsible shoulders. And I put a cover on mine, which makes it kind of grab fabric a little bit. I made this length, I think, a little bit shorter than the full length, so not quite cropped and not quite full length. Very cute. Let's see if I can get rid of the hip tilt in the back. I have a pretty wicked one. We can fake it for the dress form. That looks better. Here we go. Very cute. I love it too. I love this color. I think I can wear this color, right? Yeah, very cute. Turned out good. Let's put her over here. Yeah, they look good. Well, it's been really fun sewing with you guys. I really enjoyed this. And let me give you the discount code because I think the sale ended a couple of days ago. And, well, the discount code is on this screen. You can't see me. But here, I'm going to put it up. Whoops. There you go. Let's see if we can turn this a little bit. There you go. So there you have a discount code that's good for everything off your order, and if you ever want to sew with me, I think my channel's linked in the description. But if you are in one of the Sew Liberated courses that they have and you're in the community forums, I'm the one that helps with a lot of the questions that you get for fitting, sewing, anything like that. So now you have a face to all of the things I make you do with my Procreate tutorials. So now you know. So thanks so much for having me. I really loved sewing with you guys live. I hope you liked the live stream experience too. So I know I do. So great. Yes, Amy. And yes, there's going to be timestamps in the description. This replay is immediately available. And I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning of this one, but you can speed up the speed, and you can turn on subtitles or closed captions for any type of text that you need. So you started last week thinking you'd never make a top, just scared with it. No, I'm a double D and I love it. So I think you could give it a shot. And I think that there's a, oh, don't quote me on this. Is there a tutorial, Meredith, about changing the bra on there? I think there might be. So cool. All right, you guys. I'll see you guys next time.